The Women's College Basketball National Championship was yesterday, and it was a battle between the LSU Tigers and Iowa Hawkeyes. It was getting more viewership than years past due to the viral sensation that is Caitlin Clark, who has been deemed the female Steph Curry. She's phenomenal and had 2 straight 41-point games heading into the matchup. However, her Iowa Hawkeyes would end up losing 85-102. LSU was the national champion just 2 years after having only 9 wins. However, a lot of the discourse since the game has turned sour. The part I want to focus on is the way the LSU star Angel Reese acted towards the end of the game. She did the John Cena "You Can't See Me" celebration directly at Clark, while also very clearly pointing at her ring finger to show that she was the champ. People have been very negative about LSU, with many pointing the negativity directly at Reese. There have been many calling her classless, unsportsmanlike, and lame. However, Caitlin Clark did the same celebration just last weekend against Louisville, directing it at their star Hailey Van Lith in an Elite 8 matchup. It went viral on social media, with people really liking the confidence Clark played with. The celebration was called cold, entertaining, and Clark talking the talk that she had earned by her play and the team's victory. Yet when it was done by Reese, it was a problem. If anyone has a problem with the celebration, they 1. Hate fun, and 2. Are extremely biased and idiotic. There is a ton to unpack here with the way LSU and Angel Reese have been received, compared to the love and adoration piled upon Clark. To truly understand how ridiculous and deep this situation goes, let's take a look at Reese, Clark, and the LSU team as a whole. Before we get into the weird reception of Angel Reese's confidence and celebration, if you enjoy my content and watch a few videos of mine, think about subscribing. 96% of my viewers are actually not subscribed, so if you're watching before and enjoy the content, drop a sub and comment down below. It really helps the channel. Let's start with Caitlin Clark. I'm personally a really big fan. I think she's great for the game of basketball, and even made a video declaring her the future of women's hoops. She's the National Player of the Year and has averaged over 27 points per game through her 3 years at college so far. Her average 3-point attempt comes from NBA range, and she brings in a ton of viewers that likely wouldn't be watching the women's tournament otherwise. But to act like she's the most sportsmanlike player, or that she doesn't play with a certain edge or cockiness, would be ridiculous. She did the "You Can't See Me" celebration at Louisville's Hailey Van Lith in the semifinal game, and waved off a South Carolina player and refused to even guard her on the perimeter. She has a ton of swagger and confidence and isn't afraid to show it. Unlike some others though, Clark's bravado has been received with almost unanimous adoration and positivity. There have been tons of edits of her on TikTok and highlights of her on Instagram and Twitter. Now let's look on the flip side though. A big critique of Angel Reese not being able to do the same celebration and talk the talk is because unlike Clark, she hasn't earned it. If anyone tells you that, they know absolutely nothing about women's basketball. Don't even take them seriously. Reese was the number 2 overall recruit in the 2020 high school class, only behind Paige Bueckers, but ahead of players like Clark and Van Lith. She spent the first 2 years of her career at Maryland before deciding to transfer to LSU for this season. Her play has taken a jump from good to elite. She's averaged 23 points, 16 rebounds, 2 blocks, and 2 steals per game. She had a 25-point, 24-rebound, and 6-block performance against Michigan in this year's tournament. She had a double-double in every game of the tournament and set the record for most double-doubles in a season in NCAA D1 history. She then led her team to a national championship and won the tournament's Most Outstanding Player award. So if anyone has earned the right to talk and celebrate, it is 100% Angel Reese. Like Clark, Reese is a confident and sometimes cocky player who isn't afraid to show off. However, while Clark was praised for the same exact thing, Reese has been criticized. She actually spoke on that. She said, "All year I was critiqued about who I was. I'm too hood, I'm too ghetto. Y'all told me that all year. When other people do it, y'all don't say nothing. This was for the girls that look like me." I think it's a poignant response, and one that points out something that matters. Whether people want to admit it or not, at some point there is a race aspect that ties in. It was cute and cool when Clark, a white player, did it, but as soon as Angel Reese, a black player, does it, it's classless and hood. It's a serious problem, and if you don't have a problem with Clark, then you can't have one with Reese. It's not classless for either player, it's a competitive game. Let the players compete and have fun. I think Emmanuel Acho summed it up really well on Twitter. If it wasn't classless when Caitlin Clark did it, don't call it classless when Angel Reese does it. Let the women compete. It's sports. Now let's talk about LSU as a whole. What Reese did fits the vibe of the team. They're confident, talk a lot, and win in style. Their head coach, Kim Mulkey, wears some of the most expressive outfits I've ever seen. From full glitter suits to giant flowers to tiger print. There's a new fit for every game. Some call her style a little too much or silly, but I think it's kind of drip, honestly. Alexis Morris is likely the Robin to Reese's Batman, and hasn't been shy in talking either. She was talking a lot about how disrespectful Iowa's zone was to South Carolina, and things would be much different against them. She was right, LSU shot the absolute lights out, but she was more than willing to call her shot before the game. Both her and Reese will be WNBA players. Many other players can also be seen taunting the other team or talking, or you can see the bench exploding up after a great play. The team is kinda cocky, but to me it's more fun than anything else. It low-key reminds me of that D'Lo-led Brooklyn Nets team that everyone loved so much. Anyone hating on LSU for having fun is a massive wet blanket and needs to loosen up a bit. A lot of the pushback also could be gender-based. You see celebrations and taunting and cockiness in men's basketball all the time, but it's often praised as the player being competitive, having a chip on their shoulder, and deeply caring about the game. Yet when it happens in women's basketball, it's used to devalue a player and call them too emotional, classless, and unsportsmanlike. Why can't we realize that just like with the men's side, it often just means they care about the game? Reese's incident is not the first and likely won't be the last. It's been a problem with Reese all year. Women athletes should be allowed to show just as much passion as the men. Clark seems to be the outlier here though. Maybe it's because she plays like the NBA stars many have become accustomed to, or because she's the cool, hot thing right now. But all players should be praised for the confidence she plays with if they've earned it, and contrary to some's belief, Angel Reese has 100% earned it. The LSU Tigers won their first national championship yesterday, led by tournament most outstanding player Angel Reese. She had a double-double in every tournament game and became the all-time leader for most double-doubles in a season. However, she has had to deal with some negative attention after the game due to her "you can't see me" celebration aimed at Caitlin Clark. This is although Clark just did the same celebration to a different player last week and was praised for it. Reese's celebration was cool, and her team won a natty. Let her have some fun. Some claim she hasn't earned it, but she is averaging 23 and 16 on the year and led her team to a championship. Not exactly sure what else she needs to prove. Reese claims it's because people that look like her are criticized, and that might have some truth to it. Outside of race alone, it likely has to do with gender as well, as for a while now there seems to be some pushback against confident or showboaty women's players, despite men being praised for the same thing. Angel Reese is one of the best players in all of women's basketball, and her celebration was cool. She's an awesome player, and all the negative comments about her are ridiculous. The reffing yesterday wasn't the best, and some use that to call Reese's Sally lame, but that doesn't take away from her play and the team's play. Luckily, there are many out there that see it the same way I do and defend Reese, but negative discourse still exists. Angel Reese and the LSU Tigers are national champions and deserve to celebrate as much as they want. Thanks for watching. I'm Herm. Have a good one.